Broadcasting live worldwide. Welcome.
Are you ready? Welcome. Señoras y señores, welcome
a Diálogo con Luis Otero. So good afternoon to everyone that are listening to Dialogo with Luis Otero. This is your host, Luis Otero. I want to say thank you so much for everyone that are listening to this edition of Dialogo. We have an awesome episode for all of you guys. And first of all, I want to say thank you so much. We're over 200,000 listeners that are listening to Dialogo and every single episode. So I want to say thank you so much. We're on over 28 platforms and growing. Recently, we joined iHeartRadio and radio.com. So I want to say thank you so much. We're debuting website very soon, Dialogo con Otero. And again, please just follow us in all our social media accounts at Dialogo con Otero in Twitter or Instagram, and as well in my personal one, D. Luis Otero. We are already exceeding 90,000 followers. So I want to say thank you so much, all the listeners. So today we have two amazing guests. And these guests, they don't need that much introduction because they have their amazing careers. One of them, because it's going to be two in this interview, one of them is an amazing producer. She have worked in tremendous productions like Syndrome, Salsa Lessons, To Fit In. She is the producer of an amazing movie. In other words, we're talking about Cristina, Nava, and we're going to have as well, and we have in our show today, the amazing director of In Other Words, the amazing Patrick Perez Vidauri. Welcome to both of you guys. I appreciate so much you guys joining us today and accepting this invitation to our show.
Thanks for having us, Luis. We're very happy to be here.
No, it's a great honor. Great honor to have you both. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us and talking about, this amazing project and amazing movie, specifically In Other Words, that you guys are both part of. Patrick, you're the director, an amazing cast. We're going to talk about the movie. And I just want to make sure that you guys talk a little bit of the careers that you guys have, because a lot of people don't know from Cristina and yourself, Patrick, but you guys have amazing careers. Cristina, you're a producer. You're an actress. You were in Lola Love Shack, Salsa Lessons, The Japanese Sandman. You have a career with many, many, many years. And as well, you, Patrick, you have been involved in so many amazing projects too, as an editor and as well director. So, if you can start, Cristina, you're from Los Angeles, born and raised. How you entered the business, first of all?
Well, I did start off as an actress, and it was mainly in theater. And then I decided in 2006 that I would transfer over to film and television as an actress. And then the roles that I was being sent out for were not really many of them were not something that resonated or that I wanted to pursue. And again, it's the typical story of the the maids or the prostitute or etc. Sure. And so I decided to transfer to writing, and I actually had been writing already for theater as well. So I decided to do that, and I started to familiarize myself with the structure of writing for film and television. I connected with other filmmakers, NALIP, the National Association for Latino Independent Producers, and I started to meet people that way. And then later in 2006, I actually met Patrick Perez, my future husband, but I didn't know it then. So then we connected on film and television, and he was in school, and I wrote his thesis film, and we worked together on that, and it was a great experience. I went on to work on a Hulu show, part of Isos High Transmedia stuff that they were doing back then. And then I just kept getting hired and working with different people, working a lot of collaboration. And that's actually what, you just work with others and learn from them. And yeah, that's basically. And so here I am. Patrick and I have done three projects, 3 feature films, and so now we're here with In Other Words.
Yeah, well, in other words, it's an amazing project. Patrick, you as well, like Cristina, your wife, you guys been, so blessed, have tremendous careers. You have been so diverse as well, in many roles, as a producer, actress. And I understand the typecasting, really that can be frustrating at the beginning of anyone's career or in a career of someone, just to being only focused, in a specific area. But Patrick, you have been involved in amazing projects like, the Terry Crews Save Christmas, Save World, Do or Dave, and all the projects that you have with Cristina. And tell me a little bit about yourself, because you have done every single, I think, job or a specific career path in Hollywood. You've been director, producer, editor, writer, actor. You have done all.
Yes, I've had the fortune of being in every, fortune or misfortune of being in every role pretty much in film and television, because, I made a promise to myself very early that I wanted to be in the entertainment industry.
Sure.
And when I went to college, I studied anthropology, but the whole time I was knowing that I would try to give it a shot. Sure. When I got out of college to join the entertainment industry. So one of the first things I did here, and I started making short films in LA, and I learned by doing. And so learning by doing meant a lot of times I was hired to be a grip, to be a gaffer, to be a PA. And so I started out editing my own projects, my own TV shows, public access show. And then I made my first short film, and that went to a bunch of festivals, and it was my first SAG short film. I worked with professional actors, and we shot on real super 35 millimeter, film. And I edited that. And so learning to edit turned out to becoming very handy for me in the future. I ended up going back to film school. I applied to UCLA Film School and got in on my second try.
That's awesome.
And one of the things that I do is, like, even back when I used to volunteer at Public Access, we had a group of Latino young people who were trying to break into the media. And out of all the people in those meetings, about 2 of us are still doing it. And just the way I continued to apply to UCLA, I don't quit. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get in the first time. Well, guess what? I got in the second time.
Sure.
And a large part of, like, what I consider to be my success is perseverance, is not quitting. And so I got into UCLA on my second try, and I had already made a bunch of short films, but I did meet a new crop of young professionals there, and artists and visionaries who I still am in contact with today. And I met Cristina while I was there, and like she says, she produced my thesis film and she wrote it. Mm-hmm. And once we were able to jointly, execute that film, we realized that we could work together, and we've been working together ever since.
That's incredible, because it's just a beauty of perseverance. And you said something so important, and you guys are a testament of that, of like being able to be consistent and to be able to learn every single role, inside of a set, and being an editor. I think that is extremely handy, because it helps you just to put together what will be a movie, how to edit, and just provide the story or bring the story alive after being, shot, and you're able to put all the pieces together. I feel always that editors have a tremendous job to be able to just tell the story with the vision of the director. You being director and editor, I think that obviously comes handy, and Cristina being able to be a writer and a producer, I think is the best team. It's the best combination that any duo can have. And you guys being husband and wife, it brings I think a very wonderful environment. It can be stressful as well too, but it can be as well very interesting, because you guys can share and work the story in a very different way than just working with colleagues. It's more as a personal thing. With your experience in shorts, sometimes I see that shorts are as well a great way to there are great ways to tell stories. You both work in salsa lessons, working with a short and just making the step to go and do a long, like a long format movie, an hour and a half movie or an hour and 20-minute movie. how different could be the work that you do for a short than just a longer version movie? Do you apply the same strategy in just writing, Cristina and Patrick, directing, or it's just a different approach that you have to take?
Well, I think it's a little of both. In the writing part, and I'll let Cristina handle that, I think it's a different format. However, in the production part, it's exactly the same. And
just longer.
It's just longer.
It's longer,
But
yeah.
The number of people you need, the equipment you need, what you have to do to prepare for it and to shoot it, it's very, very similar. And so a lot of people who are thinking about making their short film, I think it's a great way to start learning the craft. But there comes a point where, when people start spending $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 on their short, $100,000 on their short, which I've seen, I think there's a point where you were better off transitioning to a feature and spending that money trying to make a long form film, because you can make it for that amount of money. It's the bottom numbers for a feature film is probably about 30, 40,000. That's how much we made our first feature for. Mm-hmm. And so if you're already thinking of spending that much on a short, it's maybe better spent on a feature.
Absolutely. You mentioned salsa lessons, and salsa lessons, to be honest, I'm just going to be candid, it cost us $500. And it was
this is beautiful. Just you say that. I think that is awesome. Tell me a little bit more, because I really feel that it was a wonderful project.
Thank you. Yes, the salsa lessons was about a 5-minute short film. And the reason it cost so little is because actually Patrick, it's kind of like Patrick and
deceptive because
it's deceptive, yes.
Because we own the equipment already. So,
right.
So that's why. Yes, if you count the cost of the equipment, but we had bought it beforehand.
Sure. Yeah, out there, like friends of yours, like I'm saying, making allies. There are always people who will be willing to lend you their equipment, And that, I think that's true. We just, Patrick and I have a company named Migrant Filmworks, and we just supported a young, talented writer, Daniel Marquez, and his crowdfunding campaign. And we donated like $6,000 worth of equipment. And I say that because there are always people out there who are willing to help you. If one person says no, you just keep asking, throw it out there on social media. So back then we had the luxury, so to speak, that Patrick had the equipment. We had people who wanted to work with us. My friend was she was a designer or production manager for Vans Corporation. She did the costuming. So, it was really a collaborative work, but.
Yeah. And then I edited, of course. So
exactly.
There was no cost there. So, if you could do every job, it helps to lower the price.
Of course. No, it is. And it's the beauty of it. And you guys are entrepreneurs. And that's something that I wanted to touch because, both being a team, you founded Migrant Filmworks, and then you partnered with Grand Dave Capital, and you being able to make this amazing movie. In other words, that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the conversation. But you are as well very active and are founding members of the amazing collective Cinematicas, and as a Latino filmmaker, group. And I feel that you guys are contributing a lot to the community, but not only that, being able to have the vision to be entrepreneurs and being able to create your own content and be able to commercialize it and just provide these other opportunities. That says a lot about the long-term vision that you guys have to be able to shape the industry and grow the industry by being able to facilitate to a lot of up and coming, directors or aspiring actors or writers, a platform. So tell me a little bit more about how Migrant Filmworks comes into fruition, because I think that it was maybe created by, hey, we got to create our own because we might be getting typecast or opportunities are not arising as quickly as we want. And from that, sometimes beautiful things come to fruition. And maybe this was the case with Migrant Filmworks, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of our visions, from the very beginning was to found a company where we could develop the stories we want to see with the characters we want to see and ultimately, start people's careers, because one of the main things missing in the formula of force and a presence in United States cinema is bankable stars. And if, the people always ask, well, who's going to be in the role? Who are you going to attach? And unless we have, unless we could create those stars, we have to give them their first opportunity so they can get their big opportunity later, And so part of our mission is that. What ended up happening is we founded our company and we made our first film. We did it for about $40,000, and we sold that film. And this film did very well. It's called Lola's Love Shack.
Sure,
and
it was a great movie.
Yeah. Thanks. It's a story of three teens trying to lose their virginity, three Latino boys in the hood, in the barrio, basically.
Yeah.
Trying to become men, and it's a comedy. So some people saw it, liked it, and we ended up getting an offer from our executive producer, Ruben Islas from Grand Ave Capital, and he said, hey, you guys, a lot of people talk about making movies, but you guys did it. And he was very impressed with the film and very impressed with us. And so he said, I want to make a movie with you guys. So he approached us to make the movie we're here to talk about today, In Other Words.
Yeah. And it's an amazing story because it's incredible. I watched Lola Love Shack in Amazon Prime Video with my wife a few weeks ago. And when, I was able to talk to your publicist, they said, Cristina, Nava, and Patrick, I would love to have you. I was like, of course, yes. I love the project that they did of Lola Love Shack because it's really cool and very nice and very it's an awesome comedy that I suggest to everyone. Go to Amazon Prime and just stream Lola Love Shack. It's a super awesome comedy. I liked it. And in other words, it's another great project that you guys are both involved, but the cast is just incredible. You guys are you guys have in this amazing movie, in other words, and the plot is just amazing because it's a romantic movie about this tech geek who lands an investor that is the amazing Chris Kattan, who is a star and was a star for Saturday Night Live and an amazing comedian in a matchmaking app, and it's just awesome. Tell me about this project because, in other words, I feel that it's a comedy, but brings something special, brings a special message because I feel that sometimes we have situations where we don't see it, but somebody's seeing something else in the situation, and the situation is positive for that person that is not seeing it at the point. Tell me a little bit about In Other Words, because I feel it's a great movie.
Well, in other words, as you said, it's a story of a guy who is horrible with women, and so he creates this dating app.
Sure.
And his app matches him with a woman who doesn't speak English. She speaks Spanish, and he thinks his app must be broken. It must be messed up. And he wants to call off the whole deal. They just finished selling it to Chris Kattan. And his friends say, no, maybe the app is correct. Maybe this girl who doesn't speak your language is the perfect match for you. So he travels to Valle de Guadalupe in Mexico, south of they're in San Diego. They travel to Baja to meet this girl and see if they are a match or and if his app is broken or if it's correct. So that's where the comedy comes from. But, ultimately, I think that we're trying to do something very similar to what you said is like, first of all, you never know what life is giving you is maybe not what you wanted, but it is what's best for you, and there's a lesson to be learned there. And there's another thing that we're touching upon. It's that we're touching in this movie a little bit about the perception of United States, the perception of Mexico, and Mexican perception of the U.S., and a little bit of we're breaking the mold there because every preconception, our main character, who's played by Brian McClure, who's on the movie the show Atlanta,
correct.
Every perception he has is incorrect. He sees this blonde girl, una güerita, and he thinks she's American, but no, she's Mexican. Okay, they travel to Mexico, and he thinks it's going to be run down, and Valle de Guadalupe is beautiful and architecture is advanced and the cuisine is immaculate and delicious. And so, every perception and preconception America has of Mexico is probably wrong, or it's not full enough and not rounded out enough. So we're trying to show other aspects where people don't usually see.
I agree that sometimes, we tend to be one-sided, and that happens to a lot of people in the society. And you guys bringing that, great aspects of like Mexico and breaking the mold. I think that's why this movie is so special. Plus, the cast is amazing. Brian McClure, Eddie Ganem as Karina Salas, Chris Kattan as the Maximilian Woods, and Renee Victor, and you got Rishi Arya as Benny Waswani. You got a very awesome cast. How was the experience of working with Chris, being such a comedian in a very different type of comedy role, because he's a very physical comedian, but he's a very smart and unique comedian because he had that in the blood with his dad. He was one of the founders of the Groundlings. But how was the experience for you, Cristina, and as well for you, Patrick, working with such a great comedian as Chris, and how was that chemistry on the set?
Well, working with Chris Kattan was just incredible, to say the least. We, as a writer, you can, you imagine what a scene is going to be like, and you imagine the comedy. But once he got a hold, once he was in the room, once the camera was rolling, his improvisation, it was even better than we could even imagine. It took everything in us to not, all of the director, the DP, every other actor. It took everything in us to not ruin the take by laughing every single time. I mean, it was just incredible. Like I couldn't have imagined it any better than that.
Patrick, for you as a director, the dynamic, obviously, as Cristina as a producer, sometimes could be different with an example, Chris, in this case. But you directing Chris, having that experience, and you've been a very well seasoned director with many projects under your belt. But working with Chris, different kind of comedian that have that kind of like legacy. How was just being able to direct him, because you maybe give him a lot of freedom to improv because that's his background? Do you felt extremely comfortable that everything that he was going to be improvisating, but as well bringing into the scenes, was going to be of value? How was that chemistry with you and him, on set as well?
Well, I hadn't met him before he came on set, but we did have some mutual friends. I got to work with Will Ferrell in the past I translated a film called Casa de mi Padre.
Of course, and amazing. That was from Gary Sanchez Productions, correct? Yeah, sure.
And I was able to. I was his Will's dialect coach, and I worked with also the writer Andrew Steele. So I turned that script from an English script into a Spanish script, and then I helped Will Ferrell learn Spanish. Anyway, so I had friends in common, mutual friends with Chris Kattan. So I think he already respected me when he came. So thank God it was really good chemistry. Sure. I feel like he, sometimes he didn't want to do the lines as written because he was improvising so much. And I would say stuff like, can we just get one as written, and then you could do whatever you want. That way, at least I could get what I needed in case it didn't work out on the improvisation. But
we never used it.
No, there was a few times we did.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a few times we needed the lines, but his stuff and what he brought to it was just so awesome. There was another time I could tell you an anecdote. If you watch the trailer, you see that he's kissing. He plays a germophobic millionaire tech investor, yeah. And the matchmaking app that he's investing in matches. He's a germaphobe, and he gets matched with a cleaning lady. So it's the perfect match, right? So he likes everything clean, right? So They kiss through the saran wrap. So they open up a piece of plastic and they start making out through it. And everyone should do that, by the way, for the new coronavirus kiss, we should call it.
Yeah.
But that's something we just improvised and came up with. And I said, Chris, what about this? And he's like, I love it. That's great. And, he just so open to all kinds of nonsense and shenanigans. He was so ready to take any off the wall idea that we had and run with it. And that's what was so great about Chris Kattan.
It is incredible that you guys have been able to put such a wonderful movie, and you guys had a lot of success. You guys presented in the Omaha Film Festival, the SNL Latino Film Festival. Unfortunately, San Diego Film Festival was canceled, but you guys were showing the movie there. When the world could see this movie, this movie is very needed now. It's very needed now because it's just it's such a great comedy. I gotta say, comedies they are out there, but I feel that this is a very well put together movie, and the trailer is just wonderful. When we could expect, in other words, out for the world to see.
Well, right now we're finalizing a distribution deal and putting it all together and getting it ready for a release. We can't say who has picked it up, but we think so that there was mention of November. Now, with everything that's happening, they could be pushed up. We're not sure. For sure, we're not moving forward with a theatrical release for now because of all that's going on. But we think November at the latest. Yeah. So November at the latest, we think.
Well, I just wanted to add that we're extremely excited. Although we can't announce who it is, we can say that it's a major premium cable channel and coming to you soon into your living room through a major premium cable outlet.
But people can keep in touch with us and Instagram at In Other Words the Movie, and then we'll release that information as soon as we are able to. As soon as the ink dries
on the contract,
we'll release it.
I'm very excited. I'm very happy that you guys are definitely close to that point. And yeah, let's definitely keep everything confidential for the moment. But I'm very excited because I feel that this movie is just needed, and it will open a lot of minds, through the comedy, about just like, let's be open-minded about things, So I feel that it's extremely needed at this point. How do you guys see the landscape growing? I see more and more Latinos working in Hollywood. You guys are being champions and big contributors for the community. I'm creating a great platform, awesome work with your production company, Migrant Filmworks. But what is needed more for Latinos to be more involved in Hollywood? I know that we're growing, and I know that we're becoming a force, but I feel sometimes the big studios, they're passing great opportunities with our stories. What is your opinion or your take about us Latinos in Hollywood and being more influential, an influential force in the industry?
I think that to piggyback on what Patrick was saying with regards to that, there are not, for example, when we're trying to cast a role, there's always there's not a blockbuster opener, right? An actor who can open, or they're so few and far between. But, one of the examples in Gentefied that I appreciate was America Ferrera began in an independent film, in an indie film called Real Women Have Curves. That is really the first role that got her the next role. And then she, we now fast forward to where she is after all of the, Superstore, everything that she's done. She gave back to her community. Gentefied began as a webisode, and then because she became involved, that's when I think Macro stepped in. And so it really is about those people who do reach back into the community and uplift, I think. And we need that more. And so you have
talking about the industry and where we're headed, I think, since I got into this, I looked at the demographics and thought, oh, this is a slam dunk. We are now, something like 3 out of 5 children in this country is Latino. And so the future is a Latino future, or at least a kind of future where it's American born kids, whether they want to see their Latino culture portrayed on screen or not, or care about it, we're not sure, but we suspect that yes, that this is something people do want and do desire. And so, however, we can't just sit back and wait for the demographics inevitability to occur. We still have to make great films. And I think that's one thing that people miss and think, well, we're Latinos and we're making Latino films, so we should get a shot. Well, there's another thing that's saying, well, you have to be good. You have to be as good as everything else that's out there on television. We have to compete at the highest level. It's like if we're athletes, we have to be the best. It's not enough that you're Black or you're Latino or you're Asian and you want inclusivity. You also have to be very good at what you do. And so we're hoping that we're covering all our bases. We're good at what we do. We are giving back to the community, and the future hopefully looks bright. What we really need now is those gatekeepers and the people who are looking for content like this and say, oh, I don't know any Latino writers, or I don't know any Latino directors, which is a very common refrain still in the industry.
Really?
They have.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. Incredible.
I heard it last week.
Incredible. With such an example, great writer and producer like Cristina, or yourself as a director, or maybe other colleagues. It's just incredible, that this is happening these days.
Yes, it remains a problem where the industry is still ignorant of us and we don't have those access points. Usually, people know somebody and that's how you get the job. Well, but people do know us, but not enough, I think. And so we have to make those allies and relationships. And that's another important step in realizing our ultimate goal, which is the Latino voice, contributing the Latino voice to, as I say, to the chorus of the American choir. I think that we need to hear, we're such big part of this country, and yet it's still a black and white landscape out there.
Yeah.
And I think that indie filmmaking is definitely a really great way that Hollywood can take notice, and sometimes, and just for anyone who might be listening out there who might want to know, like, how can I support films, etc., whatnot, like Ruben Islas, who's our executive producer and our producing partner with Lux 3 Pictures, who actually made In Other Words. He took a chance on us because he'd been watching, but he's an ally, and so anyone out there who might not be in the film world but wants to support it, you can team up with other people and team up with filmmakers that are doing great work and support them as well. And so it's really just, again, that pulling each other up as with all the help that we had. I think it's a great way to show Hollywood, like, this is how we can do it.
It's just beautiful.
This is one way to do it.
It's very beautiful the way that you guys say it, because I feel that there's a lot of capital out there. And a good example, Quibi, a new platform out there for short form of content, but visual content, and could be series of like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, episodes. But I feel that content is just important, in many aspects. In this situation that we're currently living in, we're doing this interview. You guys are in the West Coast, I'm in the East Coast, but there's this, unfortunately, pandemic that we're living. Content is what keeping people sane. Right now, and keeping people, healthy mentally by consuming amazing movies like, Lola Love Shack that you guys produced and created. So I feel that, it's important that, people know that content is just needed, and there's opportunities everywhere, and there's capital out there, and companies that are looking at this opportunity as like, hey, I think that we should look at, partnering with independent, directors and producers or writers or independent companies, because, like an example, Migrant Filmworks is a great example of an amazing company creating amazing content for the audience out there. So it's really incredible. Additionally, then, in other words, what we can expect from Migrant Filmworks and you, Cristina, and Patrick, in projects that you guys are working. I know that you guys might not be able to talk about it in detail, but what is in the oven, how I call, for the future for Migrant Filmworks this year?
Well, Migrant Filmworks was the company we started initially, and now we've joined with Grand Ave Capital, and we are now called Lux 3 Pictures. So Lux 3 has made In Other Words, and now we've just been greenlit with our same executive producer to make a drama called Martyrs and Assassins, which we're scheduled to shoot in July if everything works out. So it's a big question mark right now as to when people will get back to work. When can we be in groups again? How long will this pandemic, continue to cycle, and if it'll continue mess things up. But artistically speaking, we are now rewriting the script and making it as strong as possible. And we're going to be in the casting phase very soon. And this one is a very emotional drama. So we're getting away from the comedy and stretching our muscles a little bit in a different direction. It's a script written by Carlos Robles, one of my first writing partners that I've been working with for 20 years. And Cristina will be producing.
The pandemic is actually pretty good for writers in the sense like, we already stay at home. We already work, we already isolate ourselves to get the words on the page. And so I actually have been able to work a lot during this time. And one of the benefits was finishing this teen romantic comedy, and I'm putting together a virtual reading to get feedback on it, and that's in the coming weeks. So Patrick and I are always working, and Lux 3 Pictures has this beautiful film that will be shot sometime this year for sure. We're going to put that out there into the world.
And that's perfect because I know Murder and Assassins, scheduled for July. Hopefully things get better. Really would love to see a drama. I think dramas, they're needed to great way to just do a TV series. It's very awesome that you guys are very diverse as well, the genres that you guys are currently working. How can people find out more about what Lux 3 is currently doing? You both are currently doing your projects. Any social media outlets or handles that you guys would like to share? Because I feel that the audience will love to hear more about you guys and know what you guys are doing, and as well Lux 3 Pictures.
Yes, people can go to www.lux3pictures.org. They can follow us regarding In Other Words on Instagram through In Other Words the movie, or In Other Words movie. In Other Words movie. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
And then my personal Instagram is I am Cristina Nava, so they can follow us through there. We also have migrantfilmworks.com. And we are always updating info on what Patrick and I are doing as well. At
Pat Perez World on Instagram and also on Facebook. I'm at Patrick Perez Vidauri. And there's always updates there, and also, photography and inspirations, links to other projects we believe in and stuff. So there's a lot of great content if you guys follow us.
And I'll be following you guys, definitely. And all of us, that they're listening, everyone that they're listening, please follow Cristina and Patrick. An amazing, amazing movie. In other words, follow the movie on Instagram. I'm very happy to see you guys succeed. Very happy that you guys are very close to, launch the movie, at some point, later this year. I'm really happy to see more and more Latinos being successful in Hollywood. And not only that, but being able to work with such great names and such an amazing project like this. What message you would like to give? And this is, we're closing the interview, but what message you would like to give to all those aspiring actresses, actors, producers, writers, or directors, or anyone that would like to be in the movie industry? What will be your best advice to all of those that are listening, that we have a lot of them, that they listen to the show to take advice sometimes from our guest?
My best advice is something that I live myself, which is don't quit. Decide what it is you want to do, go for it, and don't quit. If you're going to be an actor, then act. Like I will only cast somebody who has been proven to be trying hard for many years. They have to be someone dedicated to it. If you think you're good looking and you say, hey, will you cast me? Well, if you haven't really done any of your homework and you haven't really tried before, then I'm not seeing that effort, so you need to put in the effort and you need to not quit. So that means starting with short films, starting volunteering, starting anywhere it takes, because that's what it takes. And everyone from our films who started as a PA has risen to AD. They've risen to assistant director, to assistant camera. People have stayed in the industry. People who were with us on Lola's Love Shack sometimes returned to us In Other Words, and everyone's career is advancing. So
from a writer's perspective, I think that the thing that I would say is that if you want to write, learn structure. Go online. It's an amazing time. You know, the internet has so many examples of like what goes into the page, but just take 15 minutes a day, take an hour a day, have as many people read it and then give you feedback, and but it's kind of the same as Patrick is saying, and just keep writing, just keep doing it. We need your voices, we need your stories, so just do it.
And I appreciate you both, providing this advice, because I feel that sometimes people see the industry and they're like, wow, how I can get in, or what I can do, how I can get involved, and they don't know where to start. So it's just consistency, perseverance. These two amazing guests that we have today, Patrick Perez and Cristina Nava, both are a great example of what perseverance, consistency, and not giving up are. They are very successful. They keep working. They don't take anything for granted, and they have this amazing movie, in other words, that Chris Kattan is a part of, and they have an amazing cast. And again, I want to mention the cast because it's incredible. And in the cast, Brian McClure as True Andrews, Eddie Ganem as Karina Salas, Chris Kattan, René Victor, Joe Nunez. You guys have an amazing movie. In other words, follow it in the Instagram. And again, it's such a pleasure and honor to have you both in Dialogo and just accepting our invite to be here with us today.
Oh, thank you for having us, Luis. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Luis. Much appreciated.
No, I appreciate you guys more. And again, please follow them in all social media outlets as well. In other words, in Instagram, and just please stay tuned, because they're going to be announcing In Other Words on Instagram very soon. Where and when the movie will be available. Again, thank you so much for both of you. This is your house. You can come here anytime that you guys have projects to promote them. And we respect you guys, and we appreciate everything that you're doing. And again, we thank you so much for accepting our invite to be in Dialogo today.
Gracias, Luis.
Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. And thank you to everyone that are listening. And follow us in all our social media accounts. And we'll see you guys next time in Dialogo with Luis Otero. Thank you, guys.